All right, welcome back to Distance from Center. I'm Trent Finlayson. That's John Horton, and we have kind of a year in review. This is the top. We're gonna call this just the top three season-defining headlines. So when we look back, a year from now, 5 years from now, what made this season particularly remarkable? John, what do you think defined this season?
Having Nate Smith not compete in the middle of the summer really allowed for a much wider variety of podiums, winners, and I think that's really interesting. It goes back to the days when Freddie Krueger was kind of unchallenged in men's jump. It was kind of boring, and now we have the Freddie Dodd thing, and men's jump is much more interesting. So I just think having Nate out of the mix made for an exciting summer, especially in Europe.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I think that's maybe doing the other guys a bit of a disservice, though. Just to go low hanging fruit, we're just going to say, well, Nate was absolutely at the Worlds. He was absolutely at the Malibu Open. It's not like, he showed up or returned and dominated. Not to suggest that he isn't the most dominant slalom skier that there's ever been, but we put him back in the mix, and there was still. Willie Asher winning Malibu and Joel Howley winning the Worlds. I think in that regard, I think if we're talking about headlines, things that really are going to go down in water ski history, if you will, the whole Nate Smith scandal it has to be the biggest headline of the season.
Yeah, I think that's inescapable, and I don't know that we want to rehash it because it is a bit seedy, but it's the biggest scandal that's happened in the sport in decades. Certainly bigger than the Jim Michaels thing 10 years ago.
Well, absolutely, because the while what he was sanctioned for, was absolutely terrible. What he was, all the accusations that floated around the periphery were even more distasteful. So yeah, we've covered this, but I mean, if you're going to go headline, in my opinion, it has to be more so that there were some new winners in Nate's absence. Just the very fact that Nate was forced out of the sport for a chunk of time has to be the season-defining headline. Where would you go number two from there?
Number two from there, I got a vote for Willie Asher's 41 at the Malibu Open.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So their one single pass was the second most defining moment of the sport, of the season. Tell me why.
It was just this emotional triumph moment. Smith had gone off in the head-to-head before Willie. He ran 3:41, and Willie came down, and he's only run 41 like 9 times in his career previous to this, and he just dominated that 41. I mean, he turned 6-ball, was early, and had to straighten out for the gates like he's like most people run in their opening pass. Just crushed
not stalking you, Will, but I've watched that video probably upwards of 50 times. Every single moment of that pass is when I'm imagining Will skiing, which I do a lot. every inch of that pass was Will Asher defining. It was it was classic Will. Every single move there was no disappointment, there was no hesitation. It was absolutely phenomenal, and what I liked is it just capped off this season that put Will, back in the forefront again. He won 3 different events. He won the Malibu in France. He obviously won the Malibu in America. Then he won the San Gervasio in Italy. So yeah, he had an incredible season, and what a way to end the season. And that kind of ties us back to headline number one. It was it was marking the return of Nate Smith, after the Worlds, of course, and he still was able to dominate. So yeah, it was. I do not disagree with headline number 2 at all. What do you have for number 3?
Number 3, it's well, I don't know. Is it the head-to-head? Runoff, not head-to-head. Is it the runoff at Worlds between Howley, Fred, and Joel, and Asher, or is it Jamie Bull at Collegiate Nationals breaking the national collegiate record, leading her team to a championship, and just like that emotional crush, for those who didn't see it, she ran 5.5 at 39. It wasn't an easy pass, but in my mind, she had it in hand. I don't really understand how she didn't get out the gates with the handle and keep going. So I don't know what number
That's
three
a
is.
tough
You
one.
tell
No,
me.
that's a tough one. And then maybe we even expand that further. I mean, if I think about men's pro slalom this year, it was the year of the runoff. So you're talking about that runoff at Worlds, that three-way runoff for the title. And then we'll go back to the start of the season. Stephen Neveu and Freddie Winters runoff for the U.S. Masters title. Both of those, man, were more than I could handle, watching it on live stream. So between the runoffs and Jamie Bulls, I think we're gonna have to go with Jamie Bull from the University of Louisiana. Leading that team to a title. And the cool thing is, and that's why we love collegiate nationals. It's the subtext or the subplots for the entire story. So I mean, the story is, ULL winning, I believe their 9th national title, and then mix in these little stories, of the jump teams skiing as well as they did, and Jamie Bull just killing that existing record of, I think it was 3 at 39. There was a three-way tie: Sam Damala, Manon Costard, and
Shawnee Oliver.
Shawnee Oliver. Thank you. I think it was at 3.5 at 39. And then for her to put it to 5.5 and do it in the fashion she did, I concur, man. She had that thing. She was running out of space, but where she was at 6-ball, she was still fine. I think it was, part excitement, part she hadn't been there before in a tournament, and it was, I'd have to put that in the top 3 season defining moments, 100%.
Well, especially, we expect her to be a rising superstar in the sport. I think we're going to remember that moment as when a lot of people realize just how extremely good she is.
Yeah, man, it'd be like 2003, Will Asher setting the collegiate record in Austin, Texas. He ran 3.5 at 41, and that's 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and that record still exists. But you're right, that 2003 season was kind of Will's breakout. He had won that Malibu Open and set this record, won the Collegiate Nationals, and it was like there hasn't been a moment since, and I would not be at all surprised if it's Jamie Bull's time to be catapulted, from that 5-6 spot. I think she's already in the 4 spot into the, she's 1, 2, 3 somewhere.
All right. So let's recap real quick. I lost track. So our first big story of the year is everything surrounding Nate Smith, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. I mean, wherever you stand on that issue, that obviously was biggest story of the year.
Right. Second story of the year is
Willie.
Okay, right. So Willie at Malibu, yep. Good, and then Jamie Bull at Collegiate Nationals.
Yep. I mean, an amazing year, and I think to add, maybe not that give you chills moment, but there was a heck of a lot of pro slalom events. Europe came through in a big way, probably 6 or 8 events, and then all the U.S. stuff. Then Moomba at the start. So this was a huge year in a lot of regards. So it's got me excited for 2020.
I'm looking forward to it too. All right, well, I think we're about out of time.
Yep.
Thank you, Trent.
Yep, got it. We'll see y'all hopefully next week.
Okay.
Bye.